Hello and welcome to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday out there here during the middle of the week. We got a lot to unpack here in this video here, so do stick with me as I will take you through the severe weather here all the way through this weekend and look at the pattern as we head kind of toward the end of May, as we are looking kind of at an interesting weather pattern here that will be transpiring here with the return of very strong La Nina influence here as we head in toward the end of May and even into early June here, so we'll get to that later in this video. But right now I did take a snapshot here of the satellite imagery here across portions of the middle of the country here on our Wednesday afternoon, showing some explosive thunderstorm development across the eastern Dakotas, getting down into northeast Nebraska, northwest Iowa, southwestern Minnesota. These storms will propagate and move to the north and east here into Minnesota here into a more unstable environment as we head into this afternoon here with some supercells and even here a clustering of storms as we head through this afternoon and this evening. Looking at this area here, we do have a tornado watch that is in effect here across portions of northwest Iowa, southern and southwestern Minnesota, southeastern South Dakota, and far northeastern portions there of Nebraska. I do believe that tornado watch does go in effect till 9 o'clock here this evening through the mid-evening hours, so we be mindful of that. Even some heat advisories being here posted across the Quad Cities metro area from near the Davenport, Iowa area, getting down into western Illinois, far northeast Missouri, and southeastern Iowa, with heat indices that are approaching 105 degrees in those areas. And additionally here we do have red flag warnings across the four corners here across New Mexico, portions of western Kansas, into Nebraska there, into Colorado, and getting back here into portions of southern Utah, southern Nevada, and into Arizona as well, with a lot of dry soil conditions across those areas. So do want to be mindful of burning here, grilling outside, recreational fires. Do want to not cause any spread in the wildfire concerns across those areas here, as the firefighters are hard at work across those areas here, keeping the fires contained if any break out here as we head through the day today. And concerning the fire here weather, we do have an elevated risk of fire weather concerns across western Florida Peninsula here as we head through the rest of the day today, but a more concerning critical fire weather concern across the Four Corners region here in New Mexico, Arizona, particularly northern Arizona, southern Utah, and then getting into portions there of Colorado. Maybe some thunderstorms on the eastern side of this here kind of outlooked area for the elevated and critical fire weather, with along that dry line here some isolated and widely scattered storm development here could spark some new fires. So do definitely want to be mindful of that across portions of eastern New Mexico, getting up into southeastern Colorado. Then as we head into tomorrow, critical fire weather concerns across east central Colorado, getting into northeastern and eastern portions there of New Mexico, maybe the far western and northwestern Oklahoma and Texas panhandle. Then elevated fire concerns getting all the way up here and toward the northern plains into portions of Nebraska and down here towards the Mexican border as well. Concerning the severe weather threat now, we do have a day 1 categorical outlook. The Storm Prediction Center has outlooked a level 3 enhanced risk of severe weather across central and southern Minnesota, getting over into northwest Wisconsin, and then tailing its way down here into northwestern Iowa and portions of southeastern and eastern South Dakota and far northeast Nebraska here, kind of where those storms have initiated across those areas and are pushing to the north and east here this afternoon as we speak. And then it's southward along that dry line. We do have a marginal to even a slight risk of severe weather across the western Texas panhandle, far eastern New Mexico, getting up into the Oklahoma panhandle, southwestern portions there of Kansas as well. Kind of looking at the hazards here today that we can expect, a 10% tornado risk area across much of southwestern portions and central portions there of Minnesota, northwest Iowa, eastern South Dakota, into far northeastern portions there in Nebraska. Some tornado risk also extending up here with the 2 and 5% area into northwest Wisconsin, including La Crosse, and then getting over towards St. Paul, Minnesota, the Minneapolis area, Rochester here, Minnesota as well, maybe up toward the Stevens Point, Wisconsin area, the Wisconsin Dells, and then a 2% here tornado risk across the western Texas panhandle into West Texas and far eastern New Mexico as well, and near the Fort Stockton area, west of Lubbock and Midland, Texas here, down in those areas as well. And then a 30% hatched hail risk and also wind risk across these areas into Minnesota as well, with portions of this area kind of extending down into Iowa and then eastern South Dakota, with potential of 75 plus mile per hour wind gusts, and also here 2-inch or larger hail across Minnesota, getting back into northwest Iowa, eastern South South Dakota and far northeast Nebraska. Also a significant 15% hail risk across West Texas and eastern New Mexico as well, with that 2-inch or larger hail. So let's kind of walk you through what we could expect here through the rest of today and then through this evening and overnight hours here. This is the composite reflectivity, what the future radar could look like. Do not take this verbatim here, as these are kind of more looking at trends here as we head through the radar scope here through the evening. So we kind of look for trends of what kind of the storms are going to be kind of doing. We do have kind of more isolated, widely scattered type of storms here currently developing across northwest Iowa, southeastern South Dakota, northeast portions of Nebraska. These will propagate to the north and east here and then kind of cluster up into portions of southwestern Minnesota. A lot of steep lapse rates here in the area, the cooling of the temperatures aloft. We do have a lot of warm, juicy air with all those dew points here rising well into the 60s, into the low 70s across this area. So that does yield a lot of instability here. We'll break that down here in a minute, but we do have cluster of storms across these areas here as we head toward the dinner time frame, and then these will start to bow out, especially as we get into northwest Wisconsin, east central portions there of Minnesota. That's when we could enhance that wind potential with gusts that could be in excess of 75 miles per hour. Also some elevated hail potential as you get up toward the international border into northern portions there of Minnesota, getting back into eastern North Dakota. Could have some elevated large hail producing storms here up there, but the main tornado risk here is considered pretty strong across these areas, with a 10% here tornado risk extending down into southern and southwestern portions there of Minnesota. Kind of on the tail end of this line, you're going to watch some supercells embedded within this as we head toward the evening hours. Then these will kind of move off to the east here through the morning, and then kind of here some new storm development could be expected. And a more elevated here type of storm development, maybe some surface rooted storms back into portions of the Dakotas as we head overnight tonight here with some large hail, some isolated damaging gusts here are the main threats with those. And then that clustering of storms weakening as it pushes into southern Ontario as we head into the overnight hours here tonight. And these storms will continue to propagate to the east across the northern plains here with that energy here kind of pinwheeling around that here shortwave trough. But we are seeing a lot of instability across these areas here in the middle and upper Mississippi Valley, the upper Midwestern regions here on the order of 2,000 plus joule per kilogram. Locally here, some extreme amounts of instability here, coupled with some pretty strong wind shear here with the strong winds out of the west here with the westerlies and the jet stream. We do have some overlapping there across southern and southwestern Minnesota, and that will enhance the low-level shear and enhance that tornado potential across those areas as well as the hail and the damaging wind threat here will be enhanced as kind of a MCS or mesoscale convective system kind of propagates to the east-northeast across these areas here into the overnight with time. Showing some supercell composite values here, especially across southeastern portions of Minnesota down into north central Iowa. Kind of along the tail end of that line here as it back builds down toward northern Iowa here as we head toward the evening and overnight hours. Got to watch that for the tornado potential. Seeing some decent values of the significant tornado parameter across portions of southern and southeastern Minnesota, back into north central Iowa. Do got to watch some rotating storms across these areas here as we head into the overnight hours. So do not want to let your guard down overnight. Do have multiple ways to receive warnings here and watches, whether it's a weather radio, your local news channel here, or any live streams here on YouTube will definitely be helpful. Then as we kind of move along here, this is as we head into our Thursday morning. We do have another trough kind of digging down here into portions of the Rockies. This will here kind of eject into the north central United States here into the northern plains as we head into late tomorrow afternoon and especially tomorrow night. And this will take on a negative tilt here. As it does so, we'll have a lot of warm, humid air ahead of that, and we'll have probably a bigger threat for severe weather as we head into our Thursday tomorrow, as this takes on a negative tilt here and kind of pushes up with a low pressure system here really deepening as it pushes up here into the Canadian prairies as we head toward Friday morning. Like I said, a lot of warm, moist air across these areas here as we head into our Thursday afternoon. We got temperatures here rising well into the 80s, all the way up into south central Minnesota, the eastern South Dakota, getting over toward Wisconsin, southward into Iowa here into the central and southern plains, some 90s showing up there into Texas. A lot of instability will be building, especially with coupling that boundary layer moisture, the low level moisture here in the upper 60s, lower 70s, maybe even some mid 70s down toward the Ozarks, getting into the mid south here as well. So plenty of fuel here as we head into Thursday. So that is definitely here something worth watching. We do have that day 2 categorical outlook for Thursday here. Like I said, we do have that 3 out of 5, that enhanced risk zone here from central and southern and southwestern portions there of Minnesota. This does include Minneapolis, St. Paul, also near the Rochester area with that slight risk. But then that enhanced risk here, like I said, the Sioux Falls area, getting down toward Lincoln, Nebraska, near the Omaha area, and then getting up here into portions of the eastern Dakotas, with that slight risk all the way up to the Canadian border, all the way down through central Iowa into portions of the Wichita area, just north and west of the Kansas City metro, including Des Moines, Iowa, and then getting up here into northwest Wisconsin as well. And then that's here, that level 1 of 5, that marginal risk extends from the UP of Michigan through the Dells area, the Wisconsin Dells, and then down here into portions of Kansas City, western portions here of the Oklahoma City metro, and then into West Texas as well. Another small marginal risk zone across the Jackson, Mississippi area, and just north and east here of New Orleans here, with some isolated stronger storms as well as we head into our Thursday. Similar zones as we head into our Thursday as today here, as this trough continues to take on a negative tilt. We will have 5 to 10% tornado risk zones here across the eastern Dakotas into west central portions there of Minnesota. This may expand a little farther to the east here as we get more data in here. The Storm Prediction Center receives more data. They will kind of upgrade this area potentially to a moderate risk. I think here as we head into our day 1 outlook here, we'll see as if the Storm Prediction Center does kind of pull the trigger on that. Otherwise, an enhanced risk here will stay across these areas. They have added, the Storm Prediction Center has upgraded to a 45% wind risk across portions of western and southwestern Minnesota. Eastern South Dakota here was still a 30% wind risk here into that enhanced risk zone. And then a significant hail risk of 2-inch or larger hail across the eastern Dakotas, inching its way down into east central portions of Nebraska as well, with the hail risk kind of going along with the risk categories across those areas as well on Thursday. So let's kind of take you through our Thursday of what we can expect here in the morning hours. Some ongoing storms from the overnight complex of storms moving through the northern plains here today. And even here, some ongoing storms across the Dakotas as we head into tomorrow morning as well. But that will start to dissipate and push to the east here. Maybe some ongoing cloud cover, some cloud debris from those storms pushing to the east across the Great Lakes region. We will have surface heating, some strong destabilization here across these areas. And along this cold front here, extending from the Dakotas down through here Nebraska, Kansas, and into western Texas, can expect some explosive thunderstorm development into a squall line, or here some Boeing structures as we head here into the dinner time frame on Thursday, and this will continue to quickly propagate to the east here. You can see this showing a backward C shape of kind of a bow echo pushing through portions there of Minnesota, getting down to northwest Iowa, and then kind of tailing its way down here through the central and southern plains as well. A little more isolated in nature as you get down here to Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, but still some stronger storm potential there. But along that Boeing structure here into portions of Minnesota, got to watch for 70+ mile per hour wind gusts along the leading edge, and before these storms start to quickly weaken into the overnight hours here as they run into a very strong cap here into portions of the Great Lakes, the western Great Lakes, down through the mid-Missouri Valley here into the overnight hours here as they reach that cap here further to the east. Regarding all the energy tomorrow needed for severe weather, we do have a lot of it here, strong to extreme values of CAPE, all the way up here into portions of Minnesota, central Iowa, into the eastern Dakotas, on the order of 4,000 to 5,000 plus joule per kilogram instability across these areas. So that is extremely impressive here across, especially the northern plains this time of year. And we are seeing a lot of lift with that cold front coming in here, so extreme amounts of lift and buoyancy. And with that strong shear coming in, overlapping all that instability and the buoyancy, we're going to have a lot of storm development here with that squall line and some Boeing structures with the potential bow echo across portions of Minnesota as we head into the evening hours tomorrow and the overnight hours. Supercell composite values are probably about as high as they can go across central Minnesota, around the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, back toward the eastern North Dakota area, and it is yielding some very high, significant tornado parameter values across these areas as well, so we do want to be mindful of that. I did take a sounding of west central Minnesota vicinity here to see what kind of is going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere. We do have some very strong and extreme amounts of CAPE approaching 5,500 joules per kilogram across this area. We do have a little bit of a cap in place, but as the cold front does kind of intercept these areas from the west, all that strong lifting mechanism here from that cold front will be able to lift those air parcels up, get some very tall and strong updrafts for these storms, and is showing a possible hazard tag of tornado. We are seeing a decent hodograph. Some of these storms could be shooting up around 50,000 feet as we head into tomorrow, so some very tall updrafts, which does mean mean some very strong winds here with the downburst winds, and also here some very strong hail cores with these storms as well, with the potential of tornadoes. We got winds out of the south and east at the surface, some strong speed here across the low and mid levels. We got winds coming out of the southwest here in the low levels, and mid levels here out of the south and west here, and west southwest as well. And that will continue here as we head into Thursday evening. Then thereafter, we do have that here now pivoting low pressure system getting up into the southern Canadian area, Canadian provinces. We got that low pressure system, the upper level low across the southeast here, digging westward and northwestward into the Tennessee Valley here as we head to Friday morning. This will continue to push up to the north and west here with the upper level low across the eastern United States. Another secondary cold front will start to come in here across the Dakotas as we head into our Saturday morning. And we got another cold front here, the primary cold front kind of washing out across the mid and upper Mississippi Valley, kind of dissipating. But we are seeing here some enough forcing along this and convergence along this to see some more severe weather as we head into our Friday. Now, as we head into our Friday time period, we do have a lot of warmth, a lot of moisture here pooling up into these areas ahead of the cold front, with dew points in the 60s to near 70, and that will yield another threat for severe weather as we head into Friday. The day 3 categorical outlook from the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted a 1 and 2 out of 5 for severe weather, with that 2 out of 5 slight risk from central and southwestern Wisconsin, from near the Madison, Wisconsin area, getting down into northwestern and western Illinois, east central Iowa near the Cedar Rapids area, Dubuque, Iowa, the Quad Cities near Davenport, and then getting south and westward here into portions of north central Missouri, southeastern Kansas, and into north central portions there of Oklahoma, including Kansas City metro area, Joplin, Missouri, getting over toward Wichita, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, those areas here as well, with that here level 1 of 5, that marginal risk extending down into central Texas and west Texas here west of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex as we head into our Friday. So let's play this out, the composite reflectivity of how this could play out here on the NAM model. You can see along the leading edge here of that cold front, see some storm development could be possible as we head into the late afternoon, early evening hours, especially into southwest Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, getting into north central portions there of Missouri. And this will kind of develop a clustering of storms, or an MCS, across these areas, across the mid-Mississippi Valley region, and kind of propagate more to the east-southeast with time here as we head into Friday evening. And this will continue to move toward the Chicagoland area, getting down here towards Paducah, into eastern Illinois, western Indiana as we head towards Saturday morning, with a continued risk for some gusty winds and smaller hail as well into the overnight hours. We are seeing a lot of instability here, growing in a narrow corridor from portions of Wisconsin down through western and northwestern Illinois, eastern Iowa, getting down toward the mid-Missouri Valley into the southern plains of the mid-south, kind of on the order of 3,000 plus joule per kilogram, so almost 3 times what you need here for severe weather. And there's not going to be a cap on Friday, so I'm not concerned about here any capping inversion across the portions of the mid-Mississippi Valley into the Ozarks region, but a little bit more of a cap across portions here of the southern plains into Texas and Oklahoma may here limit storm coverage and intensity across those areas here in the outlook on our Friday. Seeing some pretty good lift along that cold front, some good convergence here, some strong to extreme lift here with potential for an MCS to move through. The only here kind of caveat to all this on Friday for higher probabilities for an enhanced risk or higher is due to the lack of wind shear. We're not going to have a lot of wind shear here along this front, so it's kind of may lead to a little less storm organization, so kind of loosely semi-organized MCS will kind of move through this area with all the surface heating here into stabilization on our Friday. Supercell composite value is pretty decent here a couple days out, so we'll have to monitor that. Also here, not seeing much of a tornado threat here on Friday as well with the lack of that wind shear, so not too terribly concerned about that on Friday. But in addition to the severe weather threat, another form of severe weather here, we got flash flooding across portions of Minnesota, western Wisconsin, the eastern Dakotas, and into portions of northwestern Iowa. The potential is there. That's why the Weather Prediction Center has gone out and put a marginal to even a slight risk for flash flooding across these areas. This does include here near the La Crosse, Wisconsin area, getting back toward Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester, and getting back towards Sioux Falls as well. Another marginal risk for flash flooding across the western here Texas area into the Texas Panhandle, southwestern Kansas into the Oklahoma area as well. And then here, as we head into our Thursday, the slight risk zone for flash flooding extends up near the Canadian border, up into portions of North Dakota, northern Minnesota, and over toward eastern Montana, and then kind of sagging down along that front here into the Central Plains as we head into our Thursday. And then that just moves to the east on Friday with that marginal risk of flash flooding here from the western Great Lakes through the mid-Mississippi Valley down into the deep south and mid-south areas here as we head into our Friday. In general, the next 120 hours can expect here some decent rains across the northern plains, getting into the western Great Lakes region, into the mid-Mississippi Valley, especially if you can get under some heavier thunderstorms. Pretty void of rain across the, portions of the Four Corners into the desert Southwest and into Texas here. Not seeing much in the way here of storm organization, so not seeing much here in the way of any precipitation. Maybe some more rainfall with that upper level low across the southeastern United States from the Carolinas up through Virginia and the northeast here with time as that pushes out and kind of ends that Rex blocking pattern here across the area as we head toward late this week and this weekend. But looking forward here, I did promise you I'd look toward the end of May, and we'll do that just now. We do have another ridge that will become reestablished across the southwestern United States as we head toward the middle and end of May. This goes all the way through Saturday, May 21st. Strong signs of some very warm and hot conditions here across the southern plains toward the southeastern United States, even getting up into the central plains and over toward the Ohio Valley and northeast as well. And then some cooler than average temperatures across portions of the Pacific Northwest, and kind of inching its way toward the northern plains here as we head towards Saturday, May 21st time frame. And that only continues all the way through really the late stages here of May through Wednesday, May 25th. That trough will become more here pronounced across the the Intermountain West, the Pacific Northwest, kind of inching its way over towards here portions of the western northern plains. And then you can see here that ridge really continues across much of the Tennessee Valley, the southeast, and the southern plains, and then on its way up toward the mid-Atlantic into the northeast here as well. And then with that ridge, not seeing much in the way of precipitation across the desert Southwest into the southern plains into Texas here through the third week here in May. But that active storm track zone across the northern plains and the western Great Lakes does have me a little concerned for maybe some more severe weather across those areas toward late May. And that only continues to expand here as we head toward the mid-Mississippi Valley, the mid-South, and the Great Lakes region toward Wednesday, May 25th. Here, and you can definitely see some drier weather is continuing across the desert Southwest, California, Nevada areas into West Texas here as we head toward the end of the month as well, with generally normal precipitation all the way up and down the East Coast here as we head toward the end here, the last week or so of May. So looking at this, what this could look like for our temperatures here, we do have another ridge, like I said, becoming well established into early next week. We got that trough here up into portions of southern Canada, another trough coming into the Pacific Northwest, and that will continue to kind of dive down with the trough across portions here of the Great Lakes and the northern plains here as we head to early next week. That ridge will become well established across the Intermountain West and the western half of the country. And this will continue to expand here as we head toward midweek and really start to expand as we head toward next weekend. Next weekend, we could have the potential the following weekend, rather, we'll have the potential here of a big ridge amplifying across the middle of the country here once again. Very powerful and massive trough potentially coming here into the western portions of the country from the Intermountain West, the northern plains, back into here into the Pacific Northwest, southern Canada, with a lot of warm air to the east. And we do have a lot of moisture potentially pooling up ahead of this here, that trough, with a dry line setting up here across portions of Nebraska, Kansas, down through Oklahoma, and portions of central Texas. A lot of moisture here, well into the 60s, well into the 70 dew points here as we head into next weekend. And we'll have to watch this. It is showing some upper level pattern of a very strong and very elongated, massive trough across the western United States here into the 21st time period, and that'll continue to push off to the east here as it ejects into the middle of the country here beyond there. And we are seeing some signs of some strong instability here across the upper Midwestern regions, the western Great Lakes, down through portions here of the Central Plains during that time period as well. So we'll continue to monitor that as it does get closer, along with some very strong shear potential, maybe another negatively tilted trough here. So that does spell more severe weather for portions of the upper Midwest, the mid-Mississippi Valley, the Missouri Valley, and down through the central and southern plains as we head into toward the following weekend here, all the way around the 21st, 22nd, 23rd type of time frame across the eastern half of the country. But in general here, you can tell a very active pattern here will be setting up as we head toward late May after a few days of a rest here towards the next couple of days after Thursday and Friday. Severe weather, we'll have a few days of rest before here another pattern, progressive pattern does here kind of shift across the country. The northern stream of jet stream will be very active. The southern jet stream very inactive here. Maybe some severe weather potential into Texas every now and again, but really the main severe weather focus will be across the upper Midwest into the Mississippi Valley here as we head towards the end of May into early June. So I hope that helped you here break down everything here for the next couple of weeks, and with the severe weather and flooding concerns and also the fire weather concerns across the the country as well. I hope that here shed some light on some of that here for you folks here the next couple of weeks. So thank you for watching. Do be sure to like my video here, give me a thumbs up, leave in your questions and comments below. I'll be able to answer those all day and night. And do remember to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get over that 100 subscriber mark, so do please help me out in doing so, and I do appreciate it. And everybody, I hope you have a great Wednesday out there.